Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Force, and today I'll be giving you my first impressions of Destiny. I spent several hours with the beta and managed to get my character to the max beta level, which is level 8, and I want to talk with you a bit about how I feel about the game after spending that time with it, and also just give you sort of a clear idea as to what Destiny is, the things that you can do, all of those fun stuff. And before we jump in, first of all, a big shout out, Stylosa from Unit Lost Gaming. He sent me over some footage. I was unable to capture my own gameplay because my capture card hasn't arrived in the mail yet. So let's just go ahead and jump in. First of all, what is Destiny? Well, Destiny is an upcoming online FPS from Bungie, the company behind the Halo series. And the roots of this development studio are very much so alive and well in this game. When I first started playing Destiny, I very much got the feeling of first playing Halo, just entering into this larger than life sci-fi world with some just unreal gameplay. The gunplay in this game, it's tight, it's responsive, it's fluid, it's snappy, it's impactful. I know I'm just throwing buzzwords at you, but that's the best way for me to describe it. It feels really good to play this game in terms of a shooter. Your melee hits, they feel very weighty. You're hitting your target, their body's responding. It's just all around in terms of the gameplay. Shooting aliens in the face, it feels amazing, bar none, one of the best shooting experiences I've had in the past couple of years. Now, beyond being just a shooter, we've also got some heavy role-playing elements, some RPG elements, in which it sort of gets the Borderlands feeling. You're getting a variety of different guns that have different abilities, usefulness, you know, light machine guns, submachine guns, heavy machine guns, sniper rifles, shotguns, the whole gambit of weaponry that you expect. A lot of the weapons feel very modernized, but also with that sci-fi spin to them. Like, we've got a sniper rifle with the special neat looking scope, and you know, it's just more of like a futuristic take on weapons that feel rooted in reality. But then there's also gearing up, so you're going to be acquiring helm pieces and chest pieces and legs and boots, and all of these items have stats on them, stats which will increase the effectiveness of your character. So there are 3 classes in the game. There's a Titan, a Hunter, and a Warlock. All of the classes can use any weapons. There's not a class that is just the sniper class or just the assault class. The difference between the classes comes into play with the abilities. So for myself in particular, I picked the Titan. And for the Titan, my first basic ability was the option to lob this grenade, which dealt damage and blinded enemies. And then I picked up this massive super, like this ultimate ability, in which I would hit both bumper buttons and you would slam down on the ground, dealing massive damage in an area around you. And I also picked up this strong melee attack that would charge up for like a one-shot kill every couple of minutes. So each of the classes will have separate abilities. And with all of that said, with the tight gunplay, with these RPG elements, the sci-fi setting, it's been said before, but I just want to echo it. This game in many ways feels like a combination of Halo with Borderlands. It's just like a meshing of those two, but it's in a new, interesting universe, and one that I'm just wholly excited to jump into. So what exactly can you do in this game? Well, after picking my class, you go through some narration, and then you get dumped into the first mission. And you would go in there and you'd be fighting against enemies, and sometimes you'd see other players that would just happen to be in. And it's not crazy like launch day of an MMO where there's hundreds of people running around you getting all the kills. They appear to use a phasing technology in which you'll only ever see a handful of other people at a time. I think at max, I would see 4 people in a given area, and on the average I would see 1 or 2 other people within the span of a couple of minutes. So they're not inundating you with millions of players everywhere that are just getting headshots on all of the enemies and there's nothing for you to do, but it still feels like you're in a living world and there are other guardians, other hunters with you experiencing in this adventure. And I haven't tried the party up system, so I don't entirely know how that works, but you've got the story missions, and with the story missions there's going to be the narrative, and then you'll eventually, what'll happen is there'll be an objective on each of the story missions. You'll go to the objective, and then at the very end there's typically some sort of a boss fight. You'll either fight against waves of enemies or a handful of enemies and a big boss character, and then once you complete whatever it is that you're there to do, you'll get some loot, you'll get a reward like experience or currency or a new gun or a new helm, and then you'll just move on and you can fly to another area to do the next mission. There's also an explore mode. Now the mission missions are sort of segmented parts of this landscape, but once you go into explore mode, you've got access to the whole area. And I'm assuming these are all going to just be partitioned into like, so different zones, okay? There'll be different zones, if you will. You'll have a story mission which will put you into one specific part of that zone, and then the next story mission will put you into another part of that zone. But once you go into explore mode, you can just go everywhere. And what do you do in explore mode? Well, you can get experience by killing monsters. You can complete objectives that you'll get in the tower, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can acquire new loot, all sorts of stuff. You can explore. I mean, it's the mixture of a single player experience, but also the multiplayer sort of MMO elements. And this would be akin to going out there and grinding for experience or loot or whatever. And it was actually really, really fun. The story mode was very enjoyable. I liked the narrative behind it, and I really, really liked the boss fights. But I really loved explore mode because there was just enemies everywhere all the time. The game utilizes what are known as monster closets, in which you'll have set spawn locations for enemies that will just continuously come. And there's also drop ships similar to what you see in Halo, in which enemies will be dumped off in your area and you have to fight them off. And there will be little events in which you'll need multiple people most of the time, especially on the harder difficulty. There will be these events that take place, and with these events, you'll have, again, some sort of invasion with a big boss character at the end, the option to get a bunch of loot and stuff like that. Now, beyond the single player and co-op story and exploration modes, this game also has a competitive multiplayer known as the Crucible. I myself haven't spent much time with it, so I'm not really going to talk about it, other than it's my understanding that although you'll be taking your gear and equipment into this competitive multiplayer mode, there's some semblance of balancing that will take place. I'm definitely going to dive into PvP in the future though, and once I do, I'll give you my thoughts on it at that point. The last thing I want to touch on is the tower. This is sort of your central base of operations, in which you've got a variety of NPCs that will do things for you, like there's a mailbox in which you can receive messages or get any missed loot that you had on missions. There are NPCs that will identify items for you, NPCs that will sell you gear. There are missions that you can pick up and objectives. This is just where you're going to go to show off your gear to your friends and do a lot of the sort of mundane MMO things, like identify your gear, purchase new gear from a vendor, things like that. All around, I have to just be totally honest with you, this game has just been a total blast to play. I cannot wait to dive in with my friends. It definitely seems like an experience that I want to grab all my old buddies that I used to play the first and second Halo with, and I want to play some Destiny with them. I'm getting that feeling of the first time you step into this wondrous sci-fi universe that you just want to explore, and that's exactly how I'm feeling about Destiny right now. So expect more coverage from me in the future. I just wanted to sort of lay out my first impressions for you guys, not much beyond that, but in the future, I do hope to dive into the specific aspects of the game, show you special things, talk about the PvP, talk about the looting system, all of that. But hopefully you guys sort of enjoyed this first introduction to Destiny. I am definitely looking forward to spending some more time with the game, and again, expect more coverage from me in the future. Thanks guys so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day. Keep watching and keep owning.